Hi. Hello. This is Lucy McCall of Violent Miracles, as above, so below, for September 6th through the 13th, 2024. And I'd also like to ask you all to please like and subscribe on YouTube. It helps, as they say, make the channel grow. And I'm going to talk this week just a little bit about the new moon that we did have. What day was that? It was on just recently. Oh, yeah. It was at 11 degrees Virgo, and it was on Monday, last Monday, and it was at the constellation of Purva Palguni, which is sidereal Virgo, and it was opposing Saturn kind of loosely by a few degrees, but otherwise there were no really close aspects to it, except for probably some more esoteric aspects I don't tend to use. But what it should be bringing for the next 2 weeks is a lot of stuff around relationships, like love relationships, partnerships, and helping us figure out where we stand with them. With the opposing Saturn, everyone might be feeling insecure who's trying to do that, or like are just really not up for it. And yet, Purva Palguni is actually one of the Goonies, and it's the one that comes before Uttara Palguni. Purva meaning before, Uttara meaning after in Hindi. But the thing is that when it's before, it is a little more gregarious. It's a little more wants to go have a good time and make sure they're making a good choice. Or even if they are married already, Purva Palguni people tend to be very relationship oriented. They tend to really want to be married, male or female, or in between. But they really like to have others on the side. So that's kind of the nature of the Purva Palguni. The symbol in India is a bed. So what do you know? So it's partly like that, and it's the head of the bed. So it's very much all about relationships. And then the other thing is that with an opposing Saturn, the new moon opposing Saturn is kind of like insecure and unclear, and also not sure what structure is wanted or desired. And it also doesn't mean all Purva Palguni people or people in relationships are going to go have other relationships. But it's not the kind of sign, from what I've seen, that it's not, I would not call it polyamorous, because polyamorous is a decision that people are supposed to make between each other. But Purva Palguni is more like, let's not tell anyone. That's what that one's like. So it's just kind of that energy. And with the new moon opposing Saturn, no matter if it's about relationship or otherwise, it's kind of feeling like, oh, I don't do good enough work. My work is not good enough. I need to step it up, but I'm actually exhausted and I don't want to. It's kind of how Saturn works with that one. And then you kind of drag yourself out at the last minute to get whatever it is done. Because Saturn does like discipline. But when it's opposed the sun and the moon like that, the self-esteem is not that high for everyone collectively. So, shucks. Just shucks. What are you going to do? So, what would you do with that? Well, you can try to go to bed early, and then you can try to get up early, but it's kind of hard. You might be dragging yourself to bed. You might be dragging yourself out of bed. And then well, before I go to my meeting or my job or whatever it is, I really should do my yoga or my exercise thing. But there's this feeling like, what's the use? So what do you do about that? I think chocolate. Dark chocolate with either honey or maple syrup, not sugar, because that'll run you down too quick. And if you put nuts in it, then it will actually give you protein to make it go further. So go have a nice organic chocolate cluster. In this town, we have Chocolat. We get to go over there and have it. And they do use sugar, but it's cane sugar. It's the best, and it's just such a good vibe. And then there's probably, there's all kinds of places around here that have lovely high quality chocolate drinks. We live in Taos. This is that way. And of course, you can make your own because surely you have those ingredients. Everyone should. It's kind of like I can't get anything done, eat chocolate. Or even put it in your coffee. That's good too, you know, mocha. So, okay, so that's one thing that happened last week. And then another thing that happened was, what day was that happened? It was where Pluto went back into Capricorn. I should know it. It's just, oh, was it on the new moon? I'm asking you all. No. Oh no, it was the day before the new moon. Okay, it was on Sunday last week, and the same day that Uranus went retrograde. So, okay, first with the Pluto. Pluto going from Aquarius to Capricorn. What has happened every time Pluto has gone into Aquarius? Well, it does its retrograde motion at the end of a sign, and Pluto takes its time doing that like the other outer planets. Just because it's so far away, and of course, you know, it's all geocentric in our perception. But it's very much, has been very much involving us and getting us deeper into AI, basically. And that's what everyone was saying Aquarius was going to do, and Aquarius is doing a good job of it. That's where we're standing. And then on top of that, Uranus is headed towards Gemini, and then it's going to be really strong that way. I think we're going to, I forget when that happens. It's a few months away. It'll be like a trine. So there's going to be a lot of innovation, a lot of change with technology and communications and that kind of thing. But right now, while it goes back into Capricorn, it's like, go through that again. And Pluto in Capricorn has been, I mean, when it went in, we had something like a crash, 2008. What kept happening is, of course, the corporations were getting bailed out, and other people lost homes, and not so good. But this is kind of what the last degrees of Capricorn seems to be, is something like just people who are just too concerned about the bottom line in their finances rather than the concern for the people around them that don't even have a bottom line. So it's like this is what has been a concern. But Pluto going into Aquarius, the hope, the aspiration is there's going to be more concern, more care for the people who are homeless and hungry and need medical help, and all those folks. And of course, my hope as an herbalist is, and it's already been happening for at least since I was ever into it, 50 some years, just a more of an awareness of our food and our medicine, our herbal medicine, and just how much we can do of the natural world to keep ourselves healthy. And so I'm hoping that this is one of the things that Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring, is more of a consciousness about our health and about everybody else's needs and about nature's needs, and stop thinking so much about how much things are going to cost all the time. Because there's certainly a bunch of people on the planet who have so much money that shouldn't even be a concern. Their concern could possibly be more towards humanity. So I'm hoping for that to happen with Pluto in Aquarius. And of course, you might know the last time Pluto in Aquarius happened was the American Revolution. United States of America has a Pluto in Capricorn. So the return to the chart, the Declaration of Independence is a Capricorn event, but the revolution was an Aquarius event, as was Pluto, and Gemini was in there at the same time. Uranus has a cycle of 84 years around, yeah, multiply that by 3, then we've had 3 of those since the inception of our country. So we're really in a time of great change, and I'm just hoping for the best, that out of that comes compassion and care and more concern, because I know a lot in our country, people have had it easy, relatively speaking. Not altogether. I think psychologically we've had it hard. We're kind of berserk here, I think. But a lot of people have, we've had it easy. We've generally had our needs taken care of. But not everyone, as you can see on the streets, not everyone. And so anyway, that all has to change and heal. And that's what I'm hoping with Uranus and Aquarius, and Pluto and Aquarius, that we're going to have that kind of consciousness. So to get on with the week, what we're having also right now in the background is Uranus sextile Neptune. And that's been going on for a little while, will continue for a little while. This is supposed to increase the spirituality of ourselves and who we are and our own evolution. And today, the main aspect is Mercury square Uranus. Oh, that's a wild and woolly thing. That's eccentric thoughts, eccentric behavior. It is squared. It's difficult. It's a little accident prone. Actually, really accident prone. So if you're going too fast right now, you better slow down, because at least if somebody else is still going too fast, you might be able to take care of yourself a little better with that. And also with, I'm talking mainly about driving and whatever else kind of thing like that. Don't be in a hurry. Just don't be in a hurry. I know there's going to be a real desire to be in a hurry. So try to not be in a hurry. And on a day like this, it is really good to do the mercurially grounding plants, such as skullcap, or not, but I wouldn't do that till night because it makes me sleepy anyway. But like rhodiola and ashwagandha, and then lemon balm and the mints, they're all very calming to the nervous system, and wild oregano, or wild oregano of the mountains, also called horse mint or oregano de la Sierra. But anyway, that's this kind of day, accident-prone day. Be careful. Tomorrow is Saturday, September 7th. The moon is close to Swati or Arcturus, which is a day of study. It's a good day to pull out some of your spiritual text and look at it and read it and take it to heart. And if you're not spiritually oriented, it could be other things, maybe just self-help, or even science is good on a day like this. But Sun opposed Saturn is the aspect that is major. And like I said earlier about Sun opposed Saturn, it doesn't do much for self-esteem. It makes us all, well, so it's kind of good for like making sure you did something right. So it's pretty good for editing, but then you end up over-editing, or when you're doing artwork, like over-compensating for whatever you thought you did wrong. And then later you're like, why did I do that? So it's kind of hard to be free-spirited, but the Mercury-Uranus might, on the other hand, give us enough free spirit to not overdo it. But self-esteem is an issue with Sun opposed Saturn. We have to really consider that as, don't take yourself too seriously about how terrible you feel about yourself. Try to love yourself, okay? Just go ahead. And then we have... Sunday, the moon is in Vishaka. Moon in Vishaka. Vishaka can be fun to hang out with. I know people with moon in Vishaka. But when they get mad, boy, it's like, even though that's a Hindu word, Vishaka, you have to watch out for the vicious in Vishaka. So they can be vicious. So beware of vicious. If you happen to be a Vishaka, it's an ongoing project. But if you know anyone like that, just be aware of the fact that it's just passing through. And then we have two inconjunctions or quincunx of Mercury, quincunx Neptune, and Neptune sextiling Pluto, which is also ongoing forever since the 20s. The 1920s. It's a really old aspect that we've been having. And I talk about it every month probably, because there's always a yod to it. It is a yod on that day. There's a yod to it every time the moon passes, and then other planets can create the yod. So it's Mercury who's doing it. So with Mercury involved, it's also trying to be sure that somehow you're clear with your communication, because it can get confused right now. It can be misunderstood. So just be sure of that. Really check your things you text or email, and hopefully whatever's coming out of your mouth doesn't come out so fast you said it funny. So just be careful with that. But on the other hand, it's also a very good time to write to people who need some encouragement, and to write to anything that could voice your opinion, that could change something politically, maybe with a whole lot of people. And that is on Sunday, this coming Sunday, September 8th. Now, Monday is just kind of not that many aspects, nothing major, but the moon is in Uttaraja or Centaurus, which is a very friendly moon. So it's a good time to get out and talk, or phone call, or however you do it. Just express yourself with friends. Wednesday, September 11th, we have another yod. This one's Venus in conjunct Saturn, just to add to your self-esteem pleasure. It's another one like that. It's another one. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Especially when it comes to love or art. It's really a second guessing kind of deal. But then also later on that day, Mercury sextiles Mars, which does great communication with your it's good for communication. Okay, it's good for debate, but it's also very good if you need to fix your car or do anything mechanical. It's a good aspect between Mercury and Mars. They're both the ones that run the mechanical show on our planet. Those are the ones. Mars, the metal, Mercury, the intelligence. It's a good day to fix something. Thursday. Now, Thursday we have Sun square Jupiter. And again, we're having the Sun just really not trusting itself. Sun being the heart, also somewhat like the ego. It's the primordial self. It's the biggest part of the self. With it squaring Jupiter, which is a benefic, it's better than if it's square, than if it's to Saturn, which we already had a difficult aspect with Saturn with the Sun. It's Jupiter is more like overdoing it. It's the kind of day where you're feeling your self-esteem is low, so you feel like you better go spend a lot of money on the perfect outfit, and then you realize I can't really afford that, or stuff like that. It's like kind of overdoing it, and you're actually needing to buy a car, and instead of getting one that's just basic and you're not going to have as many payments, you're going to go and get one that has all the bells and whistles, and you're going to regret that however many $100 more a month or whatever it is. It's like watching what you do that's not too abundant for the reality of your life. And then that day is also Purvashada, so it's all about kind of going forward. So just be careful how you purchase. And but with Pluto back in Capricorn, it could get all pinchy, and you don't do that at all, so who knows. But anyway, the next day is Friday, September 13th. And this is when the moon is in Uttarashada, and this is definitely going forward kind of aspect. I think probably the next day the sun will be conjuncting, the moon will be conjuncting Pluto, but we're not there yet. It's just a good day to go forward, but like I said, be very careful with what you purchase and what you do. With the day before with the sun square Jupiter, it can also be where you overeat or something, and the next day you have a food hangover. It could be over drinking, but with Sun Jupiter, it's more like food. Okay. Well, there you have it. Hope you have a good week anyway. All right. It's harvest time, and a lot of people are running madly around getting all the fruit. There's a lot of fruit this year. We're lucky. But also there's the herbs that we need to get pretty quick before they start really seeding, and then later get the seeds. You want to get seeds when they are falling into your hand, like you touch the plant and the seeds fall through. That's a mature seed. You can do it other ways too, but that's something you can count on. But here's how I dry some herbs sometimes. Um, in our climate, we don't really have to hang it like this as much. In other climates, you'd have to make much smaller bundles than we do in this climate. But it has been damp lately in Taos more than usual. So anyway, here they are. They're hanging, and right there I have various mints up there, and I need to get more. I I find as an herbalist that one of the hardest things about being an herbalist is that you have to cut them when they're their most beautiful, when they're all flowering. That's when they have all their power and their energy for healing. And so I kind of gradually harvest over the time of harvest. And so I have different things hanging here. I have the catnip, and I got yerba del buey or grandilia. I've got some chung, or also called, it's our local salvia. You can't hardly tell what they are really once they're drying. You just have to remember what they are. And sometimes I've had to put, if I think I'm going to be confused at all, I will put a little piece of paper right near that string hanging or on the basket to make sure I remember that herb, because sometimes it gets a little obscure when they dry. And then this is, oh yeah, that's some more mint. And here's some juniper. And it has the berries down here. There's juniper berries down there. A little dusty around here. It's Taos. It's dusty. And then see how I have the dandelion seed pods? I'm just going to blow those out. I've been meaning to do that for months, but I'm going to blow them out here because even though they're going to be something I'm going to dig up in this little herb garden over here outside, even so, I'm going to dig those up in the spring for medicine. So it's great to have them there because I know they'll make it because there's dirt there more than grass. And also, see, then I put them into jars. Now this one is a mix of flowers that I started picking in the spring, fruit flowers, and then added some tulip and some rose and different sweet flowers like borage or just whatever sweet flowers you have that are edible. Make a really lovely tea, and it's full of A and C and the usual good things that the flowers have, but it's also really good for like drinking a pot of this like in January when you feel like, or it's actually more almost like March where you're feeling like, when is spring coming? But this gives you that feeling of spring is coming and that hopeful feeling. So that's just some things. See how I put them on baskets too. Now these were hung and I just took them down to put those up, but I'll show you how I put them in baskets. Here's one. Now a lot of people make chokecherry jelly, and actually I have some boiling to make the jelly, but this is just for the tea. And I'll clean these leaves out. I don't know if that matters or not really, but I love to make chokecherry tea. Now, a lot of people are worried about the strychnine in there. I think it is. Or is it some? Yeah, I think it's strychnine. Yeah, it's, but it's a traditional food around here. It's one of the main fruits of this region, so we've always done it. And I know the more north you go up the Rockies, people are even more looking for their chokecherry tree that survived how cold it is up there. So, that's just one thing you can do. You can put chokecherry and then, have it with other herbs. And it's nice. And this is nice. I got it at a thrift store. So it's really good because of the fruit flies that tend to want to hang out for when I'm drying it. But they're almost done, so I can put them up soon. But I really let things sit out for a long time because if there's any dampness, they will mold in your jar, In fact, some climates, like say Hawaii, like on the damp side of one of the islands of Hawaii, I when I've been there, I had to dry them on heating pads. I mean, maybe I could have hung it over a fire, but I wasn't in that kind of situation. But and then you got to really be careful when you put them in a jar because you just totally mold everything. And I just wonder if there's some people that just never even do that. But in that kind of climate where you have a nice wet jungle, it's pretty much you can go get a lot of your things just any old time. unless it goes into a really dry period where everything's dead, or but then probably things would survive okay, just hanging or something. I've never lived in a jungle for long. And then here's the elderberry, same thing. Have it all sitting there doing their drying. I also make tincture out of that, and syrup, but I also like to have some dried. And now this one's kind of haphazardly thrown together. My motherwort, I think a lot of people have a ton of motherwort this year, it seems. Got really tall and it's just sort of leggy and hanging out there. But then underneath here, I have malva, which is our local mallow. And then I have more elderberry, a little red clover. And here's some wild lettuce. And I moved this over just because I was running out of room altogether. Because my son brought me these wonderful dried lion's mane mushroom from Oregon. But I mean, even here you can buy lion's mane at a health food store like the Taos Co-op or Sid's or someplace, or sometimes mushroom growers are having that at the farmer's market, though I haven't been there this year. You slice it and it dries really easily. Then you can powder it and you have this powdered mushroom. And here's some borage, tons of that. I have seed saving. You know what I'm going to do with these seeds is, and I did it last year, it takes a couple of years, but that's apricot, this is cherry, and it's the Bing cherry. I've already got like the other kind of cherry, the sour cherry that a lot of people have around here, which is great for pollination for other cherries. But I'm just going to put those all down in a mud pot, soil in a pot, hanging it from where the water comes off the roof. So it will get water through the winter. And in a couple of years, I'll have cherry trees, lots of little cherry trees. So maybe next year on one pot, but I'm going to do that one too. And same with apricot. You can do the same thing with apricot and some other stone fruit. And I'll just show you this, even though it's not part of the drying deal. But this is beeswax. It is local beeswax. And each one of these are an ounce. So it's really nice to go get yourself one of those little silicone, or some people even use ice trays because they're about an ounce. You pour the warmed beeswax into that, and then you dry it, and then you already know how much you have. For years I was like warming the beeswax block and then slicing it, and I never wanted to use a little white stuff that's from who knows where. I like to use local beeswax for local people, from hardening a salve, or it's for medicine too. But anyway, this is from, I forget which beekeeper I got this from last year. I need to get more from, I forget the other name of the other beekeeper for next year. I'm sorry, I want to say your name, but I don't remember it. I think it's Taos Honey or something. But that's the name of a company? Probably is. Okay, so I used to have bees myself. I hope to have them come back. I'm trying to attract them with beehives. A little tiny bit of lemongrass, just a neatened bee home. And the reason they left, because I live in a great place. I live on the river. I have early flowers. I have all the things a bee wants. And then late flower, I just have flowers. But this is what happened. My mother died here. So I'm just telling you, because this is what happens. I knew it, but forgot about it. I had a lot going on with my mother dying. I didn't go tell the bees, oh, my mother died. You must tell your bees when the oldest woman of your land, home, whatever, dies, or they may take off. They're very offended by that. And it's such a big deal that apparently when Queen Elizabeth died in Britain, the apiary people got all together. Is that the right word? Bee people. The bee people got together, and they did and the Druids apparently did a ceremony about how the Queen had died so that the bees would not get upset in Britain. So that's how important it is. It's even known by people who might appear to be normal, whatever normal is. Actually, are they normal? Anyway. So anyway, bees. And so there's just some ideas about how to put up your stuff. Oh, you can see this too. Okay, here are different things I'm working on that I need to be putting into my herb room. So this is a respiratory extract. It has several different herbs in it for cough. I pour a little bit of boiling water over it, and then I pour, I like tequila right now. It's my favorite because it just feels so New Mexico, even though it's from Mexico. It just has that vibe, and I like it. I mean, my best is whenever I can get a hold of some locally made alcohol, but anyway, there it is. And then here's some dried yellow dock seed, which for years I've been putting yellow dock seed in like pancakes or bread, and it's also Jupiterian. So especially if you're making like a bread for like a ceremony, like a wedding, you want to put that in there because it's for prosperity, as long as with the rose petals for love and other things you might think of. But this is another thing that I've been told, and I just haven't done it yet, is I want to grind it down just in my food processor to make a flour, because it's related to buckwheat. It's in the buckwheat family. So, you know, might as well make a little yellow dock blue corn pancake. And then here we have some oil, and I put it over some arnica that my son gathered up in the Jemez. Or wait, no, this is the oil. Sorry. This is the arnica oil. So I got that in there, and I put some really good oil over it. Sometimes you can heat up the oil and then pour it over and then put it in the sun. So far I just have it like this right now. But one of the main things, if you're still using a fresh herb, you want to put screen down. But I waited a couple weeks so it was dry enough that I didn't have to put a screen down to hold down the plant below the oil top, which you need to do, otherwise it will mold and it will smell like compost, and you will not want to use it. And then here's some more tincture. This is hops for calming. And see how I put the wild rice in this jar? See how I strained off the respiratory tincture in another batch? I had that one with raw honey and some flavors, cherry and orange. So I just wanted to show you how you can deal with different kinds of plants this time of year in your harvest. Okay, have a good week.